Okay, God has been so good to me. In fact, He has been more than good. And I know He's been good to you too. And all we can say is, what shall I render to you, God? Because you've done so much for me, okay? Silver and gold I have not, but what I have is to give you thanks and praises. I ask you to count all of the things God has done for you this 2019. You're gonna count and count and count. He has been good. The fact that we're even breathing, it's enough. Alright, that's why I'm here today. It's been a while I've come on here. I used to do some short videos, but then for a while I've been offline. 2019 has been a whole roller coaster. I don't even know how to explain. I should have given this testimony a long time ago, but then anytime I want to talk about it, it's I'm replaying all of the pains and the trauma. Alright, but I remember that when I was asking God for something, He came through for me. And when I was asking Him, I told Him that, God, if you do this for me, I'm gonna come out and talk about it, even though it's shameful, even though it's painful, even though people are gonna see me in a different light, but I have to talk about it because you did it for me. Yes, I cannot despise that. I've not been in this kind of situation before, but I was in it. I got through it, and God saved me. So I'm gonna talk about this today, and I want you to just listen to me and know how God worked in my life. It was some years back, okay, 2 years ago. I was in Ghana. I grew up in this country. I went to school here, and I decided to work here. So I was working, and I got this opportunity to travel outside of the country, China specifically. So when I traveled, when I got my visa to travel, I didn't know anybody out there. I just decided to go. So when I was going, I got the visa, I got a plane ticket. Surprisingly, I know it might be a surprise to you, I didn't know where I was going. I don't know who I was going to. I just hooked up with some friends on social media, and I told them that, hey, I got a visa to go to China, and then I don't know anybody there, but please, can you help me? Do you know anybody I can stop with for a while, so when I start working, I'm gonna get my own place and start there, because I want to experience what's out there. So I went there, and then whilst there, God was faithful. I went there without knowing anybody, and it's so difficult to get a job there, especially when you're black from Africa. They believe that we don't speak English, so we shouldn't be teaching English, and that's the only job for a foreigner to do. So most Americans and people from Australia with those passports, that's the job they're doing there. But for me, I went as a black with an African passport, so I had to maneuver my way through, and I started working in the first week. So God taught me how to teach, even though I wasn't a teacher, I thought. So whilst there, firstly, I didn't go with a year visa. I went with 3 months visa. So the first thing God did in that country was to make sure that I didn't get caught. Because I went there, whilst going there, people might tell you that, okay, when you get this visa, there's job there, so you can work when you get there. But apparently when I got there, it wasn't easy to get a job. So the job I had from the beginning was part-time. It couldn't get me a working visa, so I was actually there with a business visa. So I started with a business visa, and when it was time for the visa to expire, there was this meeting going on that I couldn't renew my visa. So without me even knowing, I got on overstayed. So before I get out of the country, I have to pay a reasonable amount of money, which I had not, because I was just doing a day job or 2 days, so just to feed myself and get a place to sleep. So when I started like that, without visa, it wasn't easy. Sometimes you go to work and then people are chasing you, because in China, it's you don't have to do something bad for the police to chase you. just be there without visa. They're gonna hunt you down. Like every day they are working 24/7 to make sure that people don't stay in their country free. Like it's not Africa. You can move from Ghana to Liberia or to Ivory Coast and you can stay there without visa. But out there it's so crazy. They take it very, very seriously, and it's so expensive to maintain your visa there, especially when you're on a business visa or something like that. But I didn't know. So when I got there and I couldn't get a working visa, I had to manage some way or the other. So I was working by God's grace. Yeah, I was working. So sometimes police comes to the school and you have to run to hide before they leave. Then you can come back to class and you have to behave as if nothing happened. You might be nervous, like if they catch me, what would happen to me? If they catch me, I'm going to go to jail. But then some people are very good that they help you to get a job even though you don't have a visa, because if you don't have a job, how are you going to survive? You know, it was very, very crazy. But one way or the other, I managed and survived that for 2 good years. Okay, I lived in China for 2 years, and whilst there I was praying to God. I said, God, help me, let me work, let me make money, let me clear my overstay, and let me leave this country, because it's no life to be hiding, to be always scared, to be always running away from police and all of that. It's no life. Sometimes I come on Facebook and I see my friends happy living, and then once they think you're out there, they think that you are making money, they think that everything is okay, but I don't know what is happening out there. So mostly I didn't used to post like videos or pictures. I just used to be on my own, because I don't want to post and someone will think that because they are seeing high-rise building, they are seeing me in a nice house, so everything is okay. But actually I was scared, living in fear and all of that. So my life was just private. Okay, once in a while I came online and I posted, and when people thought things were okay, I told them that it's not easy yet. We have to work to raise money to leave this place, because we didn't know how things were going to be when we were coming here. We thought it was America or some other country where you go there and after some time you can be a citizen or something. But in China, you can't be a citizen. Even if you give birth by a Chinese, you cannot. Even if you marry a Chinese, you cannot. You still have to maintain a visa. So it was crazy out there. So whilst praying to God to do something in my life, I was still hopeful. I was still like praying. I was still like, God, be good to me, do something in so while I was praying to God to save me, it just happened. Sometimes when things are happening in your life, you think it's so bad, like God doesn't know what he's doing, like God is neglecting you. But then I was there, I was like living in bondage. So when I was praying to God to do something, our ways are not God's ways. Some of the times we think what he's going to do is going to be the way we figure them out, the way we think he's going to do them, but it's not like that. I was just there. The first thing that happened to me, I lost my job. The job I was praying to God, let me work for like some few months so that I'll be able to raise money. I lost that job. And after losing my job, I came somewhere where I had to pass through a police barrier to go to work. So I used to go to work every time and I didn't get caught. But on this one occasion, when God was ready to set me free without paying $4,000 or $5,000 to leave the country, he had a plan. He had a plan to make me leave that country with maybe just $1,000. Whilst I was figuring that I would leave the country with maybe $6,000, because I had to clear my overstay, I had to buy my plane tickets, I had to buy some things to come down. He had a plan, like I'm gonna leave there with just $1,000. So whilst going to work one day, a route that I have passed through several times to go to work, I got arrested. Like my first time to get arrested, you know, because I don't do bad things, so I don't know if I would ever have a problem with police. I always stay in my lane. But in China, without visa, you gotta have a problem with police. So I was going to work and then the police just entered the car and they arrested me. My first time, it wasn't easy. Like I had handcuffs on my hands. I had to be with them throughout. I took those pictures where you have to turn to the left and the right and the front. Like, it was just like a movie, because I used to watch those things in movies and I thought it was just movies, but it happened real life. So when they arrested me, I was like, really, what's happening? At first when they arrested me, I was like something just left me, because I was living under pressure, I was living under fear without a visa. I was crazy. So when they arrested me, it was like something left me. But the only thing that got to mind is like, you're gonna sleep in the jail somewhere you haven't been to since you were born, and I had to sleep there. So I went there and they arrested me. They took all of their pictures, their blood tests, their urine tests, and all of that. So it was just like I was dreaming. So after doing all of that, I had handcuffs on my hands from 12 in the afternoon to 2 in the morning. I went through all of that, and then later they took me into the prison, and then I had to wear some of those clothes that the prisoners wear, and I was in prison. I just saw myself in prison, and I was like, God, is this how you're going to save me from this? And I didn't know what to do, but all I had to do is prayer, because every time, sometimes I go wrong, I do bad things, but I always pray to God, and He don't look at my faults. He don't know. He look at if I am a sinner, if I do bad things. He always comes through for me. There haven't been one day where I have prayed to God for something and He didn't come true. Sometimes He might come true. He might be coming true, but I might think that, why is this thing happening like this? I might think that He's doing something bad to me. I was like, God, why me? But that was His plan, for me to leave that country without paying a cent, without paying that amount of money that I've worked for. I had to wake up early in the morning in the cold to go and teach kids and all of that. I could have given all of this money to those people, but He had a plan to take me out of there without me paying so much. But I didn't see that from the beginning. I was like, God, is this how you want me to go down? I wanted to work for a while to get the money to pay for my overstay without passing through all of this trauma. I have to be here now in this place without food. The food you cannot eat, because there were things that you cannot eat. I was with foreigners from Cuba, from Philippines, from Vietnam. There were people, foreigners there. It wasn't easy for us to eat the food. We were literally surviving every day. We didn't have food to eat because we couldn't eat the Chinese food, and they were not giving us food that we could eat. Sometimes the food comes through and you see people crying throughout. Just by seeing the food, you start to cry. And it wasn't easy in there. I stayed in there for like 14 days, 14 good days, and I fasted throughout. I was like, God, I'm gonna fast, I'm gonna pray till you see me through. I was in there, we're surviving without food. You know, we used to call something mantle. It's like, we used to call it the mountain station. And I think God just gave me friends like Marie, like Jennifer, like Marriage, like I cannot remember their names, but they are here. I know they will be watching these videos right now, and they would say like, we were together in that. Like one person would just start to cry, and then you'll be like, oh, don't cry, it's gonna be okay. You have to encourage them. All right, so we were there. We had to eat manto. Manto is like a bread, but it's something so hard that you can throw it on the wall and it will bounce back to you, and it will give you a ball. Like seriously, it's gonna give you a ball. So those are the things that were there. We had to eat, and we had to manage. Okay, and God was faithful. God was good in there. But I woke up one day and I was like, I'm gonna pray for 3 days, fasting and prayers. I'm gonna pray, and I want God to do something. Once I was praying, I was like, God, these people here don't believe in you. They don't know God. In China, it's crazy. It's hardly to see a church. So we used to travel distance just to go to church. We're like a lot of foreigners, and they were not setting anybody free. Some people, your parents don't even know where you are. But the first miracle God did in my life was to make sure that they told me to call my friend. Because without me calling her, they wouldn't have got my passport to put my visa in it to let me go. Because when they arrest you without a visa, they're going to send you back, like deportation. But then they have to stamp your passport for them to send you back. So I was like, God, make sure you do this for me. It's not easy. So the first thing miracle God did was to make sure that they told me to call a friend. So I called a friend, and God's been so good. Her name is Doris. She was so helpful. She took my passport to the police, and then they had to put my stamp in it, and she bought my visa, because I was like, I had money in my belongings, so she had to buy my visa, and I had to leave that country. So whilst in there, you are not talking to anybody, nobody visits you, you don't hear from the outside world. Even to come out, it's only once a week, and we only come out like 30 minutes. We walk around the compound, and then you're in. You don't see daylight, you don't see anything, so you don't even know what's happening out there. You don't even know if someone is buying your visa. You don't even know if they've got in your passport. I was there like 14 days, and I didn't hear anything from them. The only thing that kept me every day was to pray. And we had something like, you have to stand when someone is sleeping. So we are in the room, we are like 16, and then you have only like maybe 10 beds, so like 4 people have to stand for 2 hours. So whilst people are sleeping, you have to stand, and after every 2 hours you wake up your mate to stand up whilst you sleep. So we do that till it's 6:30 in the morning, and we have to sit down throughout. We sit down throughout the day without sleeping till 6 o'clock. We start the same thing. It's like a routine. For 14 days I had to be through that trauma, and all I did was to fast. I fasted for 3 days non-stop. Whilst I was fasting, people were like, are you not going to eat the food? They were begging me like, eat. But I didn't want to tell them I was fasting, because they ain't going to understand what I was doing. Only me and God knew what I was doing. And on the 14th day exactly, God worked a miracle. Like 14 days, God worked a miracle. It was like a dream come true. Like I was just there, we're all there. And that particular day, I started crying in the morning. Like I told you, God saved me on the 14th day. Saved me, because it was like when you do something, or when you stay without a visa, you have to be there 14 days. Even if you have money or you have your visa, you have to stay there. So I was like, God, people have been here for 3 months. I met them here. There was nobody out there to talk for them. There was nobody out there to fight for them. So they've been here for 3 months. I don't want to stay in this place for 3 months. God, do something. At the 14 days, set me free. So when it was on the 14 days, I started crying. I was like, God, are you not doing anything? Are you not going to save me from this place? But on the 14th day, it was like a miracle. God was like very specific. It was in the evening around 7, like 6 to 7 o'clock. Like I started to cry from 4. Like, God, I told you I want to leave here on the 14th day, and it's almost in the evening. It's going to 6, and they're not going to set me free by this time. What are you doing? Like, I started to cry. I didn't eat. People were like, eat, eat, eat. Are you not going to eat Precious? Jennifer, my sister from Cuba, they were all like, eat. Are you not going to eat? They were surrounding me, and I was crying. I cried. While I was crying, and they were encouraging me to take the food and eat, I just took the food, and I was about to eat. Before even putting the first thing in my mouth, I just heard the speaker, Precious, Suwa. That's how they used to call me, Suwa. Like, they always translate your name to Chinese, and they were like, Suwa, come and see. You are going home, come and see. Laughing. Everybody was hugging me, shouting, and they were like, oh my God, you are the first to leave here. Like, whilst I was there, sometimes on Tuesdays or Thursdays, the immigration people come to talk to you, to call your parents or call someone who you want to help you. But they never called me. For 14 days, they called all of my friends, and they never called me. And I was like, is no one out there talking for me? Is no one at the embassy talking for me? They never called me, and I was so scared and afraid. But on that fateful day, even all of the calls that they did for everybody, I was the first to leave that place, because God heard me. Because I prayed to God, and I told him that, God, on the 14th day, let me leave. He didn't make 1 day late. It wasn't 13 days. It wasn't 15 days. He made it exact. That's when I knew that God is faithful. Because I prayed throughout. Whilst I'm working for that 2 hours, I have to wake up to watch people sleep, to guide people sleep. I used to pray. I used to fast. And God did not let me down. God showed who he was. Because I told some of them that I was fasting, and they saw I wasn't eating. Sometimes when food comes, like, I wouldn't eat. So they knew I was fasting. So for God to set me free, he was like, he set the record. He showed them that I was serving a living God. He showed them that I was serving a God that He breaks chains. Even if people tie you in chains, He's a chain breaker. He sets you free. And He did that for me right in there. And on that fateful day, on the 14th day, even when they did not call me, immigration did not call me to ask me, who do I want to talk to? Who is my family out there? He set me free without any effort. Like God was working behind the scenes. People were buying my tickets. People were packing my things to bring it to the airport and all of that. And I got out of there. I saw that my friends, all of them were at the airport. And I was like, Gerald, JR, Variety, they were all at the airport. Doris with all of my things. And I was like, really, God, you were working whilst nobody called me to ask me anything, not knowing you were buying my plane ticket. I was like, God, you're so great, you're so wonderful. Even though I came down with a small airline where I couldn't bring any of my things, just one suitcase, but God was good. God saw me through. When I was in there, I didn't pray for someone to love me. I didn't pray for me to be having a job. I didn't pray for me to be happy. All I prayed to is freedom. All I prayed for is freedom, because when you don't have freedom, you don't have anything. People decide when you eat, people decide when you sleep, people decide when you walk, people decide when you see sunshine and all of that. But God set me free, and I'm here today. When I came out, it was traumatic, because to be in that place where even the water you are drinking is from the shower, where you bath is where you get water to drink. You cannot even bath. When you are in your lady period, you don't have anything to use. It's like they took everything. It was like they took everything from you, your freedom and everything. But God set me free. He broke those chains. I didn't have any means. I didn't have any means to come out of that place. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any connection. But He brought me into a mouth, and I saw that I had people vouching for me. My sister, my mother, my brother, everybody was out there. But whilst I was in there, I wasn't hearing anything from anybody. So I thought that nobody had my back. But then God was working mysteriously. You know, when I came out, I saw all of the love from Doris, from Verity, from Gerald, from my mom, from my sister Koru, from my brother Jerry. Everybody was just there. From Alfreda, who took me into her house when I came, because the trauma wasn't easy. And today I'm here, and people look at me, they were like, you are so fat. I was like, it's God. I didn't come from China like this. I came very slim, ugly, used, depressed. But I spent like 7 months getting over it, and I've been silent for a while. You know, I was out there doing my short videos and encouraging and talking about stuff. But it's been a while, so this is just a prelude. This is just a premiere to what you should expect in 2020. This is my testimony. I'm not shy about it. I'm so happy to talk about it. I went to China. I lost a lot there, but then I came back, and God has been so faithful, and He took me through. And today I'm in the 31st day of December 2019, about to cross over, and I give Him all of the praise. Okay, I just want everybody to know that this is what happened to me in 2019. If you don't see me on social media, if you don't see me on Facebook or Instagram, and you think that, oh, what's happening to Precious, this is what happened to Precious. Precious went out there for greener pastures and didn't work out, and I came back, but still I'm slaying. Still, God has been good, and God took me through, and I'm here today. And I know you have a testimony, and you might want to talk about it, but this is mine. You can talk about yours as well. I love you all, and let's make it happen in 2020. Thanks to my mom, who was worried about me. I heard she was crying throughout. Thanks to my brother, I heard he was crying throughout. Thanks to my sister, that my mom gave a lot of pressure to make sure that I am out of that place. Thanks to Doris, who made it all happen for me to come out without exploiting my family. Even though they were abroad, she didn't exploit them. She made sure that she did everything based on the resources that I had. Thanks to Alfreda, who took me in when I came back. Thanks to everybody. I thank all of you, and I'm about to take it by storm in 2020. Expect lots and lots from me. I love you all.